I know you Texans love your fishing. This great state has a lot to offer. Now, whether you like to go offshore, inshore, or to your favorite lake, we've got you covered with the best tips and reports to get you started. Right here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hey guys, welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. I'm Sarah Malia filling in for Brie, alongside the one and only Captain Rick Murphy. And of course, we have to say congratulations to Brie on the birth of her beautiful baby girl, right Rick?
You're absolutely right, Sarah. You know, I got to see baby Mia the other day, and she fit literally from right here to here.
They let you hold her?
They let me hold her. Brie was in a panic, though. She was standing behind me. I was in a rocking chair. She was like,
Helicopter
and I saw
mom.
the pictures later on that Kathy took. It was hysterical. She didn't know whether I was going to drop her or not. But it's cool.
Well, before we get to our captains, we have to check in with Dave at the CCA workbench. What's going on, Dave? You got some baby fever over there, too?
Oh, no. No, I've got 3 children. That's plenty. I'm old. I don't need any more children, but I'd love to see Breeze. You know, I saw some pictures of it. That thing's like a supermodel baby. It's a Gerber baby. Your dad's beautiful, or mom's beautiful. The baby's head's perfectly round. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Starting us off this week, we have Captain Bink Grimes in the Middle Coast region. Tell us, is the red snapper bite still red hot, Bink?
Yeah, it's pretty good, and so's the trout bite. We're finally getting some of our tides that we've been waiting on for 3 months. We've got a little system out in the Gulf right now. We've got a few days off because it's been raining pretty good, 4 to 5 inches around here. But that's really, really going to help our bays. We're going to get new water in our bays and pump some of those fish in the Gulf into our bays. So we're really looking forward to it. But, lately, wading's been the best way to beat the heat and to catch fish. And sand and grass shorelines along West Matagorda Bay are holding scattered catches of trout on topwaters and soft plastics. And the live croakers have been a more consistent bite, which that's normally the case this year because we're kind of in a July pattern. But like I said, with these new tides, that's about to change. Then at Port O'Connor, the topwater bite's been good. But again, the live bait's been the best. Wader's been working flats next to Pascavao. That's where most of the tidal flow occurs this time of year. Sand and grass flats in San Antonio and Espiritu Santo Bay are holding good trout too. Those fish are slicking on the shorelines and they're helping waders locate the trout. So that's what, captains are going out there looking for slick, sliding in behind them and wading through them. Then the east end of West Matagorda Bay has tossed up some good trout. It's been a muddy wade on the east end, but that mud is a few degrees cooler in the heat of the summer, and the trout like it. With that tide pumped up this week with that low pressure in the Gulf, that water, we've been waiting for it for so long. That water's cooler. It puts another foot and a half of water on the mud flats, and those big trout are there. Light winds are forecasted this week, and a little later it might let us get in the surf. When we could get in the surf, we drop everything. We throw topwaters and mirror lures. Live croakers are deadly out there, and those same surf trout, they're at the jetties as well. I had some great reports at the jetty in Matagorda. Limits of trout on 3/8 ounce bass assassin, sea shad, Norton sand eels, and down south lures. And then Rockport and Port Aransas game continues to be to work the sand and grass with croakers. Not to say you can't catch them on topwaters and corkies, because there's artificial guys that are keeping a tight lip. They've caught fish to 8 pounds while wading, an early light. And since we hadn't had much rain until this week, all our rivers are running green and they're really salty. So there's a lot of fish in them. The San Bernard near Freeport, the Colorado in Matagorda, and the Lavaca near the Fort Lavaca township are holding solid trout on soft plastic. And all those rivers can be fished even with a 20 to 25 knot wind. So that's a good thing. Here's a photo here of a nice trout caught on the rocks there in Freeport Harbor, fishing with Captain Mike Siegel. Man, that's a pretty trout, 5.5 pound trout, good fish. We'll go to redfish. Guy Lynn Smith, Port O'Connor, said he had a hard time finding slight size keeper reds. Most of the reds have been catching while wading in the bay. They've been bull redfish. They've been mangling treble hooks with topwaters. Lots of those bull reds are at the Port O'Connor jetty on finger mullet and crabs. They're drifting baits in 35 foot of water around Bird Island. Same holds true in Freeport, Surfside, and at the Port Aransas jetty. As we get closer to July, those tides will eventually drop, and it'll send a lot of those redfish out into the middle of East Matagorda Bay on those same reefs that we're drifting for trout. You can find them behind slicks. We're looking for slicks and getting behind them and drifting them with live shrimp under popping cork and top waters. Don't be surprised when you hit a school of reds if every rod bent in the boat. You know, they're little pods. You find them, you pound on them when you find them. And then in West Matagorda, that North Shoreline's hold good redfish because a lot of those brown shrimp are pouring out of the marsh, and many have been in the 6 to 9 pound range and caught on a live shrimp under a mid-coast popping cork. Offshore game, until the red snapper season closes, in July, our guys are going to keep targeting them. It's been rough out there. Nobody's been out there this week because, it's rough. But in Freeport, Mike Siegel, he's been going out, close to the beach when he can and getting snapper to 18 pounds around the wrecks and structures. And then Matagorda and Puerto Rico game's been the same way, but it's just been rough. There's a low-pressure system out there. It's supposed to get out of here by Friday, so it ought to be good. There's still a lot of kingfish within 4 miles of the beach over reefs and deep divers and on sardines. And the boys in Port Aransas are doing the same thing. They're getting their kings pretty easy on ballyhoo and sardines. And when it's been rough here lately, a lot of those guys are staying just right outside the jetty, and they're working close and catching sharks and a few kings. And then a lot of first little signs of tarpon have been showing up late afternoon on the rock at low light, early low light, and last light of the day. So it's been good. There's a photo there of Mike Siegel's party with a just beautiful Freeport red snapper.
All right, thanks for starting us off, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Coast hotspots. Bink says that we're going to go, the Colorado River has been good for trout on live shrimp while working the banks. The trout are good on top waters in San Antonio Bay while working the protected shorelines. And then offshore, good red snappers up to 18 pounds out of Freeport. Kingfish are showing up in and around the rigs near Port Aransas.
Those are some nice red snapper they got.
They are.
Next up, we're checking in with Captain Caleb Harp in the Upper Coast region. From trout to kings, he's got us covered. What's going on, Caleb?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
How you doing there, Caleb?
Oh, we're good, man. Other than this weather, we got a lot of rain the last couple of days. But, with the weather being really challenging this week, all those storms and rain that we've had, it's pretty nasty out there. But whenever it does clear up, there's still some trout to be caught drifting the oyster reefs in East Galveston Bay. We've talked about these reefs a couple of times before, but they're always going to be a good summertime tactic for catching trout. There's dozens of reefs out there in East Bay, but the most consistent reef right now are Pepper Grove Reef, Hannah's Reef, and Bull Shoals. And those three are always going to hold trout. Those reefs are holding the most life, and they have some of the only remaining live oysters from the flooding that we've had the last 3 years. And as always, when drifting the reefs, live shrimp underneath the popping cork works really well. For us lure guys, soft plastics rigged on an 1/8 ounce jig head is the only way to go. And paddle tails are working really well right now with the amount of shad still in the bays. And depending on the water clarity, use a plum or purple color in murkier water and a more solid chartreuse color in clearer water. And remember to only keep what you need. Our trout fishery is still in a rebuilding process from all the events that have happened in the last few years of flooding. So being as conservative as you can right now is needed for us to bounce back. Catch and release is cool, so you don't have to kill everything we catch. And then, going on to the redfish, the redfish bite's been pretty inconsistent on a lot of the shorelines in the Galveston Bay complex lately. Normally we can go hit all the good clam beds, bio drains, and flats and do very well on redfish, but for some reason they aren't here in the numbers that we normally see. More redfish action on shorelines is going to be more prevalent in the Freeport and Tri-Bay area, and Sabine is still holding some reds on the south shoreline around bios. Open water schools around the lower end of Galveston Bay are still going pretty good on the calmer days, and throwing big spoons on like 3/4 or 1 ounce jig or big swim bait are really going to be good for getting that good long casting distance whenever you have to chase these big schools down. And the Galveston and Sabine jetties are producing good catches of redfish too. Just get on a protected style of rocks, run those Rapala DT16 and DT20 crankbaits parallel to the rocks. When you hit a rock, stop that bait. Normally, that's when you're going to get smashed. Vertical jigging, Texas rig, gulp, shrimp on a 3/4 ounce sinker works very well too. And then I've got a picture there from my buddy Captain Thomas Francis of his guys holding up some nice bull reds out of open water school this week. And then going offshore, you know, our buddy Carl Weston over there with Salty Dolphin Charters out of Freeport said that the water was cleaning up really nice, you know, a week ago before all these storms of wind. So that this storm is going to, you know, churn up the water for a little bit, but once it does clear back up, the ling bite should still remain good. And whenever the water clarity gets back, you can still sight cast ling on any type of visible structure. These ling are spread out all over the place from the fairway buoys and 20 feet of water all the way out to 100 feet and beyond. Sand pipes, oil platforms, and floating debris will hold ling. If the water is good, sight casting with bucktail jigs or swim baits is good. But you know, with the questionable water clarity after the storm, you may want to try freelining a cigar minnow on a single J hook over a bottom structure if you're not able to sight cast. And the ling are running from 18 to 50 pounds right now. And then there's a picture from Carl with Salty Dolphin Charter of a really nice ling. And then, you know, also he said that, you know, the kingfish bite's been real strong. And there were a couple of kingfish tournaments recently, and the guys brought in some really nice fish up to the 50-pound range. But most of the bigger kingfish are being caught in the 100-foot range. And slow trolling live hardtails on a kingfish rig or trolling Rapala magnums is a surefire way to get bites. Live bait has been kind of hard to come by this year with the amount of fresh water, so make sure you're stocked up on those Rapalas before you go. And a good color is white with a red head or the mackerel color, silver and blue. Troll these lures 2 to 3 knots maximum over a bottom structure, and you'll be good to go. Hopefully this wind and rain will die down and this water will clean up. We'll be able to get back out on the action. But just hang in there. The fish are out there. We just need Mother Nature to cooperate a little bit. And then to close it up, there's a picture there of Carl and him with a 74-pound fish. So, I mean, there's some good stuff going on out there.
All right, thank you so much, Caleb. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the CCA Upper Coast hotspots. Trout drifting in the inshore over the reefs in East Galveston Bay, Pepper Grove Reef, Bull Shoals, Hannah Reef are going to be the most consistent. Live shrimp under a popping cork or soft plastic paddle tail on an 1/8-ounce jig will work great. And then offshore, once the weather lays and the water improves, the ling bite will be good on all visible structures in 20 to out to 100 feet and beyond. Bucktail jigs and big swim baits are good for sight casting, but whatever the water is, if the water's off a little, just free line a cigar minnow over the structure, Sarah.
I like how he said, just keep what you need.
Yeah,
Caleb,
man,
Caleb
catch and
knows
release.
what's up.
Conservation.
We're just getting started here on the Texas Insider, so if you're in the Middle Fresh region, stay hooked because we're coming to you next. But first, we're going to check in with Dave at the CCA workbench. What's going on, Dave?
I only like to keep as much as I want to clean. That's where I draw the line.
It's a lot of work.
We're going
your
to talk
measure.
about cleaning triple tail, which is a hard fish to clean. He's like,
Sounds
oh,
like
man.
fun.
We're going to talk about catching him too.
All right,
Catching
we'll
him,
be
then
right back.
cleaning him.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Any fish, any water. Since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. And CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Outside is a bully. There are bears screaming in fleet-footed waters. Arrogant mountains. Goliaths. 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 And 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
CCA is the largest marine conservation group of its kind, with 70,000 members in Texas. CCA's mission is dedicated to conserve, promote, and enhance the present and future availability of our coastal resources for the benefit and enjoyment of the general public. So if you care about the health of our Texas coastal resources, join CCA today by going to their website, ccatexas.org, and help them make a difference. Use the promo code REDFISH to receive your free hat with your membership. CCA, the leader in marine conservation.
Well, welcome back to the CCA Workbench, right,
Yes,
Dave?
sir.
And every week we talk about rigs and techniques.
Right.
And it's that time.
Well, we're going to talk about one of my favorite fish to catch, which is a triple tail, and they're caught all in the Gulf of Mexico and all around Florida and all the way in any tropical sea is the triple tail, and he's a really strange fish. In an ocean full of strange fishes, he's a strange guy. He's called a triple tail because he's got a big tail and he's got two lobes of on his anal fin and his top fin up there. It's like a second dorsal fin that look like three tails. They're all so big, it looks almost like a couple of them he could walk on. But that's why they call him a triple tail. And he's usually a black color when he gets older, or even a black to a silver color as he gets older. But when they're small, they're like a yellowish, like sargassum color, or mottled gray and black and orange. They can be a lot of different colors. And a lot of times when we see them offshore, when they're babies, about half a pound, there can be hundreds of them, like on a rope or any kind of debris. Now these things, that's how these things feed. So they're very attracted to debris, and how they feed is they'll lay up on their side and pretend like they're a piece of debris. They'll be the shadow, and they'll try to get little fish to come up around them and get in their shadow because they're laying on their side on the surface. And when those little fish or shrimp or whatever get close to their mouth, wapow, he'll snatch out there and eat them. And I've caught triple tail. Even when I was trolling ballyhoo, they can be very ferocious at times, and they're always very curious about anything that's floating. We fight when we're looking for dolphin. We quite often will see these triple tail offshore, and that's how you can catch them year round. But in Texas, these triple tail in the summertime, they come into the bay, and West Matagorda Bay especially is probably one of the prime areas to catch triple tails because there's a lot of gas lines and bric-a-brac and stuff on the bottom there that really attracts them. They're not real sure why there's so many in there, but there's quite a few triple tail in there. And how you catch them in there, the water's a little dirty, so it's not really sight fishing as much as going to these crab pots and channel markers, or
submerged pipe, whatever.
Submerged pipe especially. A shallow water wreck in 15 feet of water will hold more than one most of the times. And what you can do is you can get you a live shrimp, which is probably the best triple tail bait there is. They like little small fish, but a live shrimp is really great to have, or a live shrimp imitator of any kind. But a fresh live shrimp, a big shrimp. If you want to catch big triple tail,
or you want a big one?
Use exactly.
Let's just go ahead and put a big one in
whopper. Use a big one. If you're in a place where there's a lot of little ones, 2, 3 pounds, 4 pounds, big enough to catch and eat, you can get by with those little ones. But if there's 12, 14, 15, 30 pounders, yes, they get up to 30 pounds. Some even 50 pounds actually is a world record, something like that.
Wow.
And imagine that. They fight incredibly hard. They jump and leap in the air, very, very aggressive jumping. And I've actually been trolling along with ballyhoo and seen triple tail skipping across the surface on his side before he piles on to a full ballyhoo on a pin rig.
Wow.
And that's quite a bite to see. It's amazing because then they go crazy if you hook them. The biggest one I ever caught was also on a ballyhoo, because I'm always trolling ballyhoos. But I was coming in for the day, and a lot of times as we're coming in for the day, we'll stop at mats of sargassum just to see if there's any dolphin or anything around them. And sure enough, as we came up to this one, I saw a big fish peel off from underneath and start to head down. And I just instinctively flipped out a ballyhoo on a pin rig and let it sink. Well, he picked it up as it went down, and it was like 15 pounds. 15, which is a good sized one for where we live.
So Dave, cleaning a triple tail because of their armor-like scales.
Well, they're armored because they're laying on their side in the sun all day. So they got thick scales, and and I guess because they're so vulnerable, they all around them they've got spines. Right. All over, they've got a spine on their gill plate.
Raker.
That's a monster.
Raker,
they've got one on the bottom on their pec fins, except on their back. Right. And their back it's like a little miniature buzzsaw, a circular saw all the way around. And his skin is very thick, so you got to have a really sharp knife, and you gotta make sure you keep sharpening it as you're going along.
The red bloodline, after you get a nice fillet off of a 10 or a 15 pounder,
right?
You like cutting that bloodline out?
Yeah, it's so good. You don't even have to. A lot of guys will, but I don't care about it because it's so good. I'm usually frying them all up anyway. He's probably my third favorite fish of all, besides a raw yellowfin tuna and a wahoo. and then comes a triple tail. He's just that good a fish to eat.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's Dave's one of his favorite all-time fish. And Sarah, I know your favorite all-time fish is a sailfish, but what region are we going to next?
Yep. Well, I have to second that with Dave. I love triple tail. It's actually one of my favorites too, but someone who's always keeping things fresh in the Startron Middle Fresh region is Matt Loescher. What do you got for us this week, Matt?
Hey guys, I'm gonna start off talking this week about bass on Toledo Bend, black bass to be specific. Bass fishing's pretty good right now, especially at night. I got told about this Toledo Bend night fishing a little bit. Get out there late in the evening and throughout the night, look for those lighted docks. That's really the key to catching the bass this time of year at night because, especially those deeper docks or the ones that are at least close to the deep water or near creek channel, river channel, et cetera, stuff like that. The lights are really the key here. That's what brings in the bait fish, hence the whole reason the bass are hanging around. They just pull up out of the creeks and out of that deeper water, get around those docks at night, and it leads to some real big bites. So you can just run kind of dock to dock, lighted dock to lighted dock all over the lake and run this pattern and really catch a lot of big fish. It's a lot of fun this time of year, and you can beat the heat while you're doing it. Big worms are generally the best choice for consistent night fishing success. It's a big fish bait, and it works great all summer long, day or night. But at night, it really shines in the darker colors. Black and blue is my favorite deal. But really any dark color, anything that they can kind of silhouette in those lights at night is what you want to use. Take those big worms, go find those lighted docks, rig them up Texas rig style, 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce weight, big 5/0 hook, whatever size weight you need based on the wind and that kind of thing to kind of feel what you're doing real well. And just start throwing around those docks and brush and pilings and all around those lights, and you should pick up a couple of big fish. It's a big fish deal. So you don't want to expect just a ton of bites, but this is some of the best way of the year probably to consistently catch big ones is in the summertime at night. Those big fish just really get on those docks, and that big worm will catch them. That being said, make sure you take care of these fish. Practice catch and release so they can be caught again in the future. And if you happen to catch one over 10 pounds, make sure you've got some catch and release formula in your boat that you can put in your live well water and plenty of ice. So if you catch one over 10 pounds, you can put that live well, fish in the live well, keep it healthy, bring it in, and take advantage of the great lunker program that we have here on Toledo Bend. Toledo Bend Lake Association has a lunker program where if you catch a fish over 10 pounds and you bring it in alive to a certified weigh location, they will tag that fish and release it, and you will get a free replica mount of that bass. So you don't have to kill it. Yeah, it's just a great deal. You don't have to kill a fish. The fish is out there to be caught again, and you'd be surprised how many of them really get caught again. Some of them get caught multiple times. It's a really cool deal.
That's really cool. Tell me about this picture, bub.
Yeah, we got a photo there. That's a 12-pounder a guy caught just last week on a dock, fishing with some lights at night, just worm fishing those docks, just like I was talking about. And that fish was brought in alive. They tagged it. You can see they're weighing it right there. They just weighed it in. They tagged that fish and released it to be caught again someday.
All right. What's your other species, second species? White bass.
Yeah, we're going to jump over to some white bass. These things are a lot of fun this time of year because they'll come up schooling late in the evening. You know, they'll get up on the top and just, you know, look around. You can find them anywhere on the lake. The Pendleton Bridge is a great place to start looking. Either side of the bridge is good, but anywhere on the lake that you find where the river channel swings up next to a shallow flat, that's where you want to look for these white bass. They're pretty easy to catch once you find them. Just like I said, use your eyes to find them. You know, find them schooling on the surface late in the evening, right before dark. You can catch them on anything from a topwater to an umbrella rig. But a chrome lipless crankbait, throw it out there and burn it back to them is really consistent. It's just simple as it gets. You know, just find the fish, throw that crankbait right through them, and you'll catch them. And then lastly, I'm going to jump over to Sam Rayburn. I'm going to talk about some crappie fishing. They're catching some big slabs over there right now. You know, it's a typical summertime deal. It's hot. These fish are getting out on the deep timber and on the bridge pylons in the shade. And, you know, now that we're getting further along into the summer, you can find these fish in a sort of a range of depth. You know, if you're fishing up the lake where the water's a little dirtier, maybe as shallow as 15 feet. But if you're down the lake where the water's a lot clearer, you can even find them as deep as 30. You know, brush piles, deep timber, things like that. And with that water warming up, these fish, you know, I always talk about the 8 to 15-foot range, but these fish will get a little deeper this time of year, getting out of that, you know, out of that sun, out of that heat. So you can look for them down in the shade of those trees around 15, maybe even 20 foot. Send a minnow down there and catch those suspended slabs around those trees. It's a lot of fun this time of year, makes for some great action.
All right, thank you for keeping us updated, Matt. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Middle Fresh region hotspots. He said black and white bass on Toledo Bend are biting late in the evening and at night on worms and lipless crankbaits. Crappies on Sam Rayburn are hot on the minnows in 15 to 30 feet of water. What do you think about that?
I think that sounds great. CCA Texas and CCA's National Habitat Program built a conservation trust that provided the Moses Lake Shoreline Protection Project with the funds of $150,000. The Galveston Bay Foundation is the lead partner on this project. This project will provide protection for 1.3 miles of shoreline and restore up to 10 acres of intertidal marsh complex. The hard structure breakwaters will help reduce shoreline erosion and minimize wetland loss. A recent Marsh Mania event took place at the site involving many members of the community.
You know what? CCA is the leader in habitat along with BCT, guys.
They're
Good
the best.
job. Yeah, you guys doing a great job.
The upper and lower fresh regions are up next on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, so stay tuned and remember, for all things fishing, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and view and tag us on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. And Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster, now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Welcome back. Now we're heading over to Matt Reed in the Yeti Lower Fresh region. Heard the bass have been biting over there. What can you tell us about that, Matt?
Oh, well, they're biting really well. Let's just attack it as we go and hit that lower region of Texas. We're going to start off in the Austin area at Lake Travis. The bass are biting really well right now on top waters early in the morning. That top water bite, you catch a couple dozen fish every morning fairly early. Walking baits are doing best, such as spooks and sammies, that type of thing. You can also catch some fish on a jerk bait during that early window. When the sun gets up later in the day, you need to move on up the river and target those trees that are in 15 to 25 foot of water using, creature type soft plastics, trick worms, and Sinkos. Those fish are hanging around those trees looking for shade from the sun. Another way you can catch those fish is throwing a trick worm in the Mardi Gras or watermelon candy color on shaky heads. Let's move on over and just kind of lump two lakes, Lake Marble Falls and Lake Bastrop, into one report. There's a good frog bite on both of them right now. Those fish are in the thick grass, thick hydrilla, and it is an exciting way to catch those fish on a hollow-bodied frog up over the grass. They'll explode through that grass and get that frog. Don't ever think it's too thick. They can get through there when they know it's there and they're hungry for it. Inks Lake, another lake in that central Texas area, is a good frog bite as well, around the rocks and shallow cover. But you can also throw a wacky worm, a little later around that shallow cover and catch some good fish as well. Moving on up a little bit to Fayette County. Fayette's been really predictable now. It's in that full-blown summer pattern. There's a lot of offshore schools of fish. They're eating deep crankbaits and Carolina rig soft plastics really well. You can find them around the hot water discharge there at the power plant, around the dam, and out on the main lake points. Use your low-range electronics and look, you find the proper depth and you'll find the fish, and those fish are really cooperating well. Somerville has slowed down a little bit with the hot weather. We're getting some rain right now. Hopefully that'll cool the water down a little bit and pick those fish back up out on the main lake. They should show back up on the main lake points and eat crankbaits and Texas rig plastics. Just got finished with a kids camp at Lake Amistad. The bass are biting really well there early mornings from top waters. You can catch them on a whopper, flopper, or a spook. Any type of top water bait's doing pretty well. They'll bite that until the sun gets high. There were a couple of days we had clouds and wind, and they bit a top water pretty well up until the midday. They'll also bite a white swim jig really well. I was throwing a white swim jig, trailing it with a money shot green skinny dipper. I caught fish on that bait all up in the day, even in the bright skies. But when it got really bright, the best bite was a big old monster plum apple worm. Throw it on a 1/4 ounce or a 5/16 weight Texas rig. Get out on that 17 to 18 foot hydrilla edge, and we caught some really nice fish doing that.
Tell me about the photo, Matt.
Photo was one of the kids in the kids camp. His name was Chase. That was his personal best. That was a 6.55. He caught him out on that deep outside edge and that 18-foot hydrilla.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the kitty cats.
The kitty cats. Lake Amistad's also giving up a bunch of channel cats and blue cats right now. If you want to target the channel cats, they're in about 10 to 20 foot of water out on the flats. The best way to get them fired up is to bait that area with sour grain. That'll get them all feeding and in your area. Best way to catch them is on dough bait. So, that sour grain gets them there, and the dough bait will get them in your box. If you got the itch to catch a bigger blue cat, move out right on the top shelf of those rock ledges where it'll be 20 to 30 foot deep and may fall off to 100. That's the way Amistad is. Get you some fresh cut bait and get out there, and you got a good chance to catch that bigger blue cat. Limits 25 per person are really common right now down at Amistad.
All right, Matt, tell me about the photo.
Photo, just a good, nice limit. Ray Hanselman's crew caught that fish the other day. I think that was about 3 hours worth to get a 3-man limit, 75 fish limit. It's fast action.
So I got a question for you. You know, obviously those catfish, kitty cats, are good to eat. So Matt, how would do you fillet them and then fry the fillet, or do we dehead them and eat them whole? How do you guys like to eat them?
How big they are. We call them little bitty ones squealers, and you can cook them whole. But I prefer to fillet them. Get your electric knife, and it'll work just like it does on any fish. You can go down the backbone and go down the skin, and you got a nice white fillet there ready to fry.
I like it a lot. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Guys, if you want to go fish with Matt Reed, his information's right there on the screen. I highly recommend that you go book a trip with him. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh region hotspots. Matt says Lake Amistad largemouth bass are good around the hydrilla. Use topwater and swimming jigs early in the morning, and then big worms later in the day. 30 to 40 fish days are very common. Sarah, have you ever caught 40 bass in one day?
I can't say that I have, but all this fish fry talk is making me hungry.
I hear you.
Next up, we have Johnny Geis in the upper fresh region. What's going on, Johnny?
How y'all doing this evening?
We're doing good. How are you?
We're going to talk about Ray Roberts. It's right north of Dallas, Lake Ray Roberts. Guide Mike Flanagan's reporting good fishing on Ray Bob. As the water warms up, these whites and the sand bass, as we call them here in Texas, they start ganging up, feeding heavily on the threadfin and gizzard shad. Got some early morning schooling activity showing up around the points around the dam area, and nothing more exciting than seeing a whole bunch of acres of white bass busting on the surface. The popping lures like the chugger, the chug bug, yellow magics, they're all working good when the fish are close to the boat. Like to throw the heavier top waters like the czar spook or pencil popper when you have to make a real long cast to reach action. Once top water action subsides, to catch these whites, you got to continue to catch them by dropping down to the 20 to 25 foot level. Change over to heavy slab. Slab bait, nothing more than a flat piece of lead. It's got a treble hook on one end, imitates a cripple shad. Try to use a heavy one, 3/4 ounce to 1 ounce, what I like. You go heavier than that on high winds, keep it on the bottom. The bite's kind of always on the fall, so you need to be in constant contact with the lure to feel that bite. On top waters, you got the 2 hooks, and on the slab, you got the 1 hook, and you have to be real careful taking those off. The white bass have a gill plate that's real sharp, and you can get a hook in your hand pretty easy. Therefore, what I like to do to catch quicker and faster and get them off is use a small swim bait, like a Bass Assassin sea shad, using a 3/4 1 ounce jig. You can catch them on top when they're up schooling by reeling fast. You can let it sink to the bottom and slow roll it, and you can catch them out deep, real easy to get off. So that's what's real good for whites. The limit of white bass is 25 angler, and these aggressive, hard-fighting fish are a lot of fun to catch. Usually easy enough to catch for a fish fry with that species. Moving over to Lake Fork, can't miss that. Lake Fork is good. June's always a great month for catching a big bass on Fork. Springtime's when most people come to catch a lunker, but there's probably more 5 and 6 pound fish and larger caught during the month of June than any other time. We had the annual Skeeter Owners Tournament here about a week ago. We had 2,300 anglers out of one marina, Lake Fork Marina, and over 1,000 Skeeter boats were on the water for a day and a half. It was a 2-day event. The second hourly weigh-in, Charles Doss brought in the winning fish of 11.18 pounds. Real nice fish, and there were a total of 25 fish that were over our 24-inch slot, so that was about a record itself for that many big ones. We got several patterns developing right now on Fork. Due to that late spring, delayed spawn, there's still plenty of quality fish in that mid-depth range. You may get a few early morning topwater bites, but that'll slow down pretty quick when the sun comes out unless it's cloudy. The Texas rig worms and Carolina rig flukes are still producing in that 5 to 15 foot range. Another popular pattern that's developing right now, productive technique, is drop shotting. Here you rig that weight about 10 to 12 inches below your hook. Use a small 1 ounce owner rigging hook. I like to use light line on that. Rubble worms, the zoom trick worms, and red bug or tomato red are good Lake Fork colors to try. The drop shot water from 5 to 20 foot for the best results. And go heavier weight if you want to fish deeper water with the same rig. Many of our fish are being caught on Fork down heavy football jigs, San Antonio jigs, B&M jigs, and 3/4 of 1 ounce, dragging them on the bottom, some type of good plastic creature type trailer. Pull these slowly along the bottom and over the shell beds for the best success. If their fish are active, a quick op's also a good way to trigger the bite, and you can fire up a whole school. Next thing we're using is a big 10 or 12 inch Texas rig worms or a big straight tail worm rigged on a heavy wobble head. It's a consistent producer, works really good around deep timber and brush piles. Red bug, blue fleck, and watermelon colors are working good on that. We'll soon be throwing the large 6 inch to 8 inch flutter spoons made famous here on Lake Fork on deep structure, and also catching big bass that are suspended and chasing giant gizzard shad. We'll start seeing those starting to blow up any day with this weather pattern we've got now. I have plenty of repeat clients who fish me this time of year and enjoy catching big bass on live bluegills. They have fun first catching a bait. We stop out in a brush pile. It doesn't take long to get 20 or 30 bluegills, and then we ease out on the structure point and catch some real big bass that way. Each week I get to enjoy seeing a large percentage of my customers catch their personal best. Largest one they ever caught. Many times they beat it 2 or 3 times on one trip. I included this picture. This was on Father's Day weekend. Here's Cade Stanley and his dad with the second personal best in one day. So thought that was a good picture to share with everybody.
Well, good fishing starts with a good guide. Johnny, thanks for the report this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh region hotspots. All right, Lake Ray Roberts. The water's slightly stained and the temperature's from 82 to 86. The lake is 0.68 low. White bass excellent on top waters and slabs, and then Lake Fork for big bass biting good. The lake is 1 foot low with the water temperatures between 85 and 88. Some early schooling activity near the dam area. Drop shots and football jigs are working well. I'm a little tongue-tied
That took
there.
a lot out of you. Spit it out. Stay tuned. We've got one more region left and new products at the CCA workbench when we return. What do you got for us, Dave?
I got a glowing shrimp.
Ooh.
That's what I got, a shrimp that glows.
Oh boy.
I love glowing
We'll be
shrimp.
right back here on
Hard
the
and
Texas
soft.
Insider Fishing Report.
Dave.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Yeti, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
When you've got an incredible opportunity in front of you, you want a Yamaha VMAX SHO behind you. Just ask 2017 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Brandon Polinick. He'll tell you, if you're an aspiring angler with big dreams and a VMAX SHO, there's no limit to what you could achieve. Light, fast, fuel-efficient V6 performance and Yamaha reliability that lets you focus on your game. Nothing pushes you like a Yamaha VMAX SHO.
That's all we need. We need next quarter so we can just bonus to everything.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala Ripstop.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Today's Power Bowl tip is about the micro. Now guys, the micro is certainly a great product for any of you guys that have a boat, a skiff, a kayak that weighs under 1,500 pounds. Now let's talk a little bit about how the micro works. Simply, we have a battery pack that you can purchase as part of your micro, or you can tie it into your battery on your boat. It works just like its brothers and sisters in the power pole line. By simply pushing down twice on a key fob will deploy the spike. When you want to move, you just hold the up button, move the micro a little bit, and you can move on down along the way. Now keep in mind that if you already hold a spike or have a spike, that staking out can really be problematic. You can keep your spike and purchase a micro, and now you're actually in the great business of having a technical poling skiff where you have a lot more control. The other thing that I really like about the micro is how easy it is to simply screw 4 bolts into your deck, and now your micro is ready to go. I love the micro, and make sure you check it out at Power Pole, and that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week. Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and
Yes, we are.
That micro has really become very popular both in the kayak, john boat, and the technical poling small
It'd be perfect
skiffs.
for my little skiff.
Well, we need to get you one.
Yes, we do.
I promise I will.
All right. Well, we're going to start off right now with these are called chatterbaits, and they're made by Texas Rattle and Rig in Houston, Texas. And what these are made for several things. One is to replace a weight if you just want to use it, any kind of, throw out a live bait or a dead bait, and instead of putting a rig on there, a lead weight, you put this little rattling thing on there, and what it does is it supposedly attracts some fish. Their motto is lead is dead. Use this, use our chatter weights, and they also use them on popping corks. They'll put them, in between. Once you put your popping cork on, they'll put a little segment of line, and then a chatter weight, and then your bait, and that'll add, makes extra action for your popping cork. And also can adjust how your popping cork sits in the water by how much weight you put on there. And they have pretty, foil covered ones and or just regular old plain
Well, you
weights.
almost want to just put a hook in one.
Exactly. You probably
put a snap ring and a hook on one and just bounce it along.
You could probably do it, but you tie one of those in line and takes the place of any kind of weight, called the chatter weights from Texas Rattle and Rig.
Do you know what different sizes they come in, Dave?
I think they come in 4 different sizes.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell you what they are. I just looked at them online. But yeah.
Well, certainly you can find out more information.
Yes, you can. If you go to Texas Rattle and Rig, and it also has their popping corks, their line of popping corks on there as well.
All right.
All right. This next we got the Live Target Hybrid Shrimp. They come in 2 different sizes, 3.5 and the 4-inch. That's the 4-inch and the 1.5 ounce. And why they call it a hybrid is because it's a hard lure, and it's also got all these little soft aspects to it, the little legs. Cool. So the legs will move in the water. It's got a unique little place here for the double hook on the breast here, so that when it's dragging on the bottom, it'll fold up and won't get caught on the weeds or the sand shoal bottom. Still a decent hookup when you flip them up off the bottom. And what you want to do with this thing is cast it out and just use a really super slow retrieve, kind of let it drift like a natural shrimp. And that's the glow. They come in like 11 different colors. I'm always a big fan of glow shrimp because I like to use shrimp at night, and you toss that thing around a dock or
hooks in the front so it swims forward.
Correct.
Got
and
it.
it'll just really nice slow float.
I like it.
The Live Target Hybrid Shrimp. Also, we got here. This is a really cool thing. I was fishing this weekend, and a little fella came in, and he was trying to worry about, keeping live bait, and this thing is perfect for that. It's the Bubbles Top Combo. This thing's on there pretty hard, but this will it'll fit on any 5-gallon bucket, the 3.5, just about any of those 2.5, 7-gallon buckets. It's got a big wide mouth so that a net will fit in.
I like it.
It holds either 1 D-cell or 2 D-cells, but with 2 D-cells it'll go for 44 hours.
Right.
It'll keep your bait really fresh. I use one of these myself on the side of another cooler that I have. The pump that came with it crapped out, and I got the bubble box and
the
used
guys
it.
at Marine Metal Products make awesome.
Yes,
I've been
they
keeping
do.
baits alive in my garage by keeping the water cool and a simple bubbler
Yep.
for years, whether it's crab or pinfish overnight.
Right.
No recirculating water.
Right.
Just bubble through the water column, guys.
Yep, exactly. And
I like it.
this it comes with all the tabs on the side. You can put all your tools or whatnot. It'll fit the Academy bucket that's in there, which I got the Academy bucket with this. It was less than $20. Or, if you're at Academy, you can get one of those big old beautiful Star Bright Ultimate buckets, and it'll fit on that Ultimate bucket as well.
I like it.
At Academy.
So we got 20 seconds. You want to talk about those Plano boxes?
Well, these are the Plano waterproof. I got these last year right before the show ended.
Right.
This has been on my boat for a year.
Wow.
And I use it. I keep all my keys, my phone. I keep a little stereo speaker in here. I got my video camera, my granny glasses. It
and
holds.
the O-ring keeps them
Everything's watertight. And because I have a little micro skiff, I don't have a whole lot of waterproof storage.
Right.
These are great. I just put all my stuff, as soon as I get on the boat, keys, wallet, everything goes in there, goes in the bottom of the boat, and I don't have to worry about it getting wet.
All right. Well, we have one more thing to worry about here tonight, and that is the lower coast region, Sarah.
Very important. You have to keep those granny glasses dry. Last but certainly not least, we have Chad Kinney in the lower coast region. Heard the offshore bite's been pretty good. Give us a scoop, Chad.
I'll give you the scoop inshore and offshore here. So the trout bite is really good in Corpus Christi Bay. And federal waters, of course, are producing some great red snapper all through the coast there from Port Aransas, Mansfield, the whole section down to South Padre. And some cobia are showing up on the lower coast here also. So starting out with the inshore here, the trout bite, like I said, has been really good out of Corpus. And the redfish are showing up, not in big numbers, but there's some really big bull reds being caught and some scattered slot fish also on the drop-offs and cut. I spoke with Captain Doug Stanford. He's Pirates of the Bay charters there out of Corpus Christi. And he said the trout bite's been really excellent in Corpus Christi Bay. He's hitting like the Portland shoreline, been good with limited trout in that 20 to 24-inch range and releasing them up to 29-inch. That's really solid fish anywhere you go. So he said the best results are coming on, live croaker, free line, using 25 to 40-pound fluorocarbon with 5 to 7-aught tail hook. And just to touch on something that Dave just mentioned on that chatterweight there, if you get into a current or deeper water or birds are diving in your baits, will weak, put that chatterweight on there, tie your leader on the bottom of your tail hook. That will help you attract fish and also get down there a little bit. So when the winds are lower, he said the wells in Corpus Christi Bay have been really good also. We get that 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, try some of the wells. And the T-hips are also good if you want to catch other species. Bring some live shrimp along or some frozen shrimp, and they're catching sheephead, black drum, mango snapper. So they're having Corpus is really taking off really good. Got a photo here of a really good-looking trout. It's an upper end trout, 29-inch trout. Really.
That's a good one. All right, let's go red fishing.
Yeah, red fishing like this has been pretty spotty. They're going to show up in big numbers here, but right now they're a little spotty. Some big ones are being caught on some drop-offs and land cuts, some spoils. The east cut out of here at Mansfield's been producing some really good red ones. Well, not in big numbers, like I said, but you just got to find out when they're feeding. I had white fishermen the other day, just off the oysters there on the cut. There was redfish moving everywhere, and we threw spoons and lures and everything at them. They wouldn't do anything. But we found out in the afternoon the bite seemed to pick up, and you got some of those big bulls to hit using live croaker or finger mullet. And kind of use the same setup. You can go up to 40, 60-pound fluorocarbon leader, 5 to 7-aught tail fish like that. When you're getting some of those big ones, still use light tackle to be a lot of fun. Got a great picture of bull redfish here off the east cut with Captain Danny Contreras. We had a big group in from North Park, Lincoln Mercury, and she caught the winning redfish here, Donna Canese. So it's a good bull.
All right.
The offshore, the lower coast has been producing great snapper, like I said, in federal waters, Port Aransas, Port Mansfield, South Padre. All great reports. Any which way, it's time to go now. Try some Williamson flutter jigs, catch some bigger suspended fish. 100, 150-pound fluorocarbon leader works great. Hit with some fresh bait if you need to. And then plenty of fish in that 10-pound range. And getting some bigger south snapper also. Got a picture here of some red snapper at the limit caught on marker 37 there up in the Corpus area.
Whoa! Look at all those big snappers, Dave.
There's some big ones in there.
All right, tell us about the cobias, bub.
Yeah, the cobia. Like I said, they've been showing up. We've been hitting not huge numbers, but they've been popping up like they normally do. One here, one there, and you never know when they're going to show up. They're hitting around the oil rigs up around Corpus, wrecks around here and stuff like that, and rigs. As soon as the shrimp boats show up, they'll be hitting around the shrimp boats, but that won't be until July 15th. Live bait works excellent on these guys, but always have a rig ready, for one. Use it like a scroll jig head, 2 ounce with a Z-Man curly tail. That'll get you a bite. But if not, get a VMC live bait hook. Get like a 5 to 7-aught little short shank hook. This is 2 things. It's a higher tensile strength hook, and also lets you hide the bait on there. So have that completely ready. If the fish shows up, go ahead and pin a little piece of bait on there and go ahead and pitch it to them, but freeline it in the current real freely. Let the cobia take off, and you can run a bit and then lock it up before setting the hook. And the main thing is preset your drag, guys. A good rule of thumb, 20-25% of the breaking strength. If it's 50-pound test, set it at 10, 15 pounds. But just let him take off with that. Don't set it, don't pop it. Just let him fight him. And you don't want to get a green bling in the boat or a cobia. So get that gaff ready and have your cooler, like we've been saying. Have that sucker open and go straight to the box and close if you don't want them flopping everywhere on the boat. Got a good picture of a cobia there with David and Hunter Douglas.
Hey, Chad, I got a quick question. How big was that biggest snapper in the photo you showed us?
Tell you what, from my experience, I've got some big ones. That thing looks like it's about 28 pounds.
Yeah, that's a fat.
That is a stud. All right, man. Thank you for clearing that up for us. You did a great job. Then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower coast region. He says inshore trout bite is on in the Corpus Christi Bay, while the federal waters are producing good red snappers and some cobias are showing up out of the lower coast. And then offshore, the lower coast has been producing some good red snappers in federal waters, as you saw there, Sarah. Was that amazing? That is a stud snapper there, boss.
That was a monster, buddy.
So nice snapper.
I love to catch those things. I love to eat them.
How was your Father's
too.
Day?
It was good.
What did you do?
I went to a party and drank too much rum.
Hey, I had a cool
I'll never
Father's
drink
Day.
again.
You know, Ridge has been
never
over
drink
in San
again.
Sal in the Bahamas, so I drove over to his house after celebrating Father's Day with Colin and Kathy.
Why not?
And guess what? I cut his grass. I haven't cut grass in 20 years on his little Toro tractor.
Cut grass.
I thought I was the bomb diggity.
Best
It's
Father's
nice,
Day
isn't it?
ever.
Bye. It was a good Father's Day.